Yes, welcome to my high-end and frequency business podcast. My name is Lisette Lucas from the Netherlands, and I'm an international trained high-end success medium and a high-end and frequency business coach. Throughout my podcast series, I help ambitious, empathetic coaches who aim for high-end success, fulfillment, and ultimate life and business mastery. Absolutely living and thriving from their stardust potential. I'll give you the tips, the tools, and energy shifts you need to shift to the next level of impact, abundance, freedom, and absolute energy joy. So I hope you're ready to shift with me. Let's go. The professional state frequency shift plus powerful click on tool. Yes, a very warm welcome to the high end and frequency business podcast number 52. In this podcast, we're going to talk about the professional frequency and energy shift you need to make as a business owner, right? Because when you're a high level performer, when you're a business owner, it's important to be and stay and thrive in that high energy and frequency, in that empowering state. But is that always possible? I know myself, for instance, as a high-end success medium, I need to work with people and their energy and frequency. That's what I do. And I recall the words from my mentor, Mavis Patilla, who always said, you need to be professional. So that means you can take your BS, your daily life BS, into the coaching session, into the mediumship session, or into the business coaching, what we're doing here through this podcast, right? Because think about what state would I be in if I talk about heavy, dense energy. It would change my physical body drastically. I mean, think about heavy energy, think about sadness, think about grief, think about pain, think about, my shoulders, my head, think about depression. Those heavy, below the golden line energies pull you down, not only your energy, not only your frequency, but your whole physical body. And in that way, from that low vibe state with your head hanging down, your shoulders down, your energy down, you can't help other people. You need to lead by example. And that means you have to learn how you can shift your frequency and energy in an instant, in a heartbeat. And of course, I've been training that because, especially working with energy and frequencies, I need to be in that powerful, high state. Otherwise, I can't even tap into the energy fields of other people or other situations, events, or whatever I need to tap and tune into. So, how do I do that? Well, first of all, I become aware of my breathing. Is my breathing high? Or is it low from my stomach? Where is my head? Where are my shoulders? How do I hold my body? And I've been working as a professional medium for more than 10 years now. So it's like ingrained into my body, my system, my energy field. I don't even have to think about it. It's just a routine I do. And what I do is I make I call it my EnergyJoy high vibe move. And I've learned these techniques even more powerful through the Tony Robbins events and through the Tony Robbins coaching. So I've integrated those proven tools that works insanely powerful. So I'm going to take you through the Tony Robbins triads for changing your state. And as you know, when life is being life, when you need to work in a live session or in front of an audience or do a one-to-one coaching session through Zoom or the computer, you need to change instantly, even when you heard just a few minutes before the session really bad or sad news. You need to step out of that. Click yourself on. I always say click on, click off. You see even the movement I make when you're watching the video, I do that with a certain body shift. So I can show you what I do. I make a movement with my hands. And I always do this with my hands. I don't know how to say it in English. I wipe my hands, I put them together and just move them together. It's like building the energy. And I wasn't even aware I was doing that. I was working in front of a live audience as a medium. And before starting, I put my hands together. And one of the people in the audience afterwards said, why were you doing that thing with your hands? And I said, well, I believe I'm just turning myself on, activating the energy. It's like a signal to my frequency and energy, like, okay, it's time, putting the energy on. Yes, so shifting it on. So that's the first thing I do, and that's the change in physiology. Yes, so I want you to, while I'm telling this, I want you to think of something you do. Maybe you already, as a business owner, already have certain movements or certain rituals you do in front of a session before a session starts, or before you need to work with people or groups or one-to-one sessions. What do you do? And how does that work for you? How long can you keep that energy high? Because that's so, so important. I mean, we are professionals. The people that are coming to us as they want help from a coach or a service-based provider, you need to be in that high energy. So for me, when I start the session, and I can do this like 1 minute in front of the session. When I do public demonstrations of mediumship, I take longer, but I don't want to sit in that really slow energy for a long time, because even working with spirit is a high frequency. It's like we are living on the frequency here, and you have to upgrade the energy to connect to whatever is there. It's like a radio. You have to turn the dial to get to that other frequency. But for your business, and maybe you're interested in learning about working with intuition, because what is mediumship? It's like the next level of intuition. It's like intuition mastery and learning to connect to all the frequencies out there. Really, really powerful tool if you want to take your business to that next level. And when you learn those tools, it's like a completely different realm, completely different world and energy you can connect to. And you can help and guide people by just tapping into their energy field. But I'm distracting myself, but I love the way that works, and I really want to share that with you as well, so that you open your mind to whatever is possible. Well, you're listening this high frequency business podcast, so you're open to it, and it might be new. You might already work with some tools, but when you put it all together, it's like magic. Trust me. But what do I do before I start a session? I put my hands together. And then I change my physiology. And that's one of the 3 steps from the triad of Tony Robbins. Changing your physiology. Then I'm changing the language, the words I say to myself and the pictures I make in my head. And then I change my focus. So whatever happened in your daily life, in your private situation, you have to take your focus off that. And you have to become present in the here and now. And you can do that by grounding yourself, feeling your feet on the ground, just breathing through your whole body. Not only the high superficial breathing, but the low breathing as well. It brings you in the here and now. And then I want you to create a certain movement to change that physiology, so that it becomes ingrained in the programming of your physiology, so that it becomes a part of your routine and your body, so that even when your head's not ready, your mind, that's part that's always distracted, when you move that body, and while I'm talking, I'm doing it. So I'm making fists, and I kind of pull them backwards. I pull them in front of my heart, and the sound I make, and the word I always say is yes. I always say yes. And I want you to think of a move that gives you the energy and frequency of yes. How does yes feel for you? How does yes sound? How does it sense? How does it move? The opening energy of yes. So I say yes, yes, and I pull my arms backward, and maybe a funny story. When I shower in the morning, I don't do this in the evening, otherwise I'm activating myself too much before I go to sleep. But I do this in the morning. I've been doing this for, I think, almost 4 years now. I do this in the shower. I wash my hair with normal warm water, and then I turn it to cold, the water at the end of the shower. And before I step under the cold shower, I activate my body again. So I can just cope with the cold without getting into the, that shiver energy. So I turn on my frequency by saying yes, make the movement. Be careful how you do that, because you're really powerful and really strong. And I once almost with my elbow hit the glass window out of the shower. So be careful that you have enough space to do this. But and this is a good test to feel if you can turn and click your frequency on. Because when you've done the yes, the low vibe yes, well, not your whole body is integrated in it. So you will feel the cold water. But when I do the yes in a firm way with my arms, with my whole body, and I say to myself, and here comes the language, I say to myself, yes, I am power. I am EnergyJoy. And I say to myself, and this is really unleash the power within, that's really like stuck in my nervous system, I freaking rock. I freaking rock. And I always say, I can do, be, achieve anything I want. I am power. Yes. And this is what I do in the shower. This is the start of my day. And this is what I do before I start a session. I mean, it's like maybe you even feel a change from the beginning of this podcast to now, because when I look at myself, I'm smiling. And that's what it does. It activates you. It's like, I am power. I am EnergyJoy. I freaking rock. I can do, be, achieve anything I want. I am power. And then you connect to the client. And they're like blown away by your power and energy alone. That's what they feel. Even when they're not really in tune, they feel and sense your energy. So whatever comes forward after that, you will help and shift them in your own unique way of expertise. But the most important thing I want to share with you in this podcast is that I want you to think of a power word. I want you to think of I call it a high vibe EnergyJoy move. And I want you to think of, how is my body? Where is my body? Where is my head? Where are my shoulders? How am I standing or sitting? And you can do this standing. So I challenge you to do this in the shower in the morning as well, because then you're standing. Again, be aware of the glass window when you do the yes and the power move. But you can do that sitting down as well. I'm recording this and I'm sitting. And we're not always standing and we're not always sitting, but it's important to learn it both ways, because when you're working in front of a live audience, well, you can do this behind the scenes, of course, but it's important that you're then in that mode, in that power mode that you just click on. So yeah, one more time, and do this with me. I'm putting my hands together. Here we go. Okay, let's go. And you can feel the warmth in the palms of your hand. It's like switching on the energy. Okay, and I want you to say just yes and make a move with your body, with your hands, and maybe it's your arms up or whatever you want, like the Superman mode or whatever feels good to you. And I know this might feel silly to do this. I mean, the first time I had to do this, I was doing Hypnotherapist with a group of people, of course. And I felt like, oh, how embarrassing. But then I saw everybody doing it. And I thought, just do it. Just do it. And that's what it is. Just do it. It doesn't matter who is watching or isn't watching. Just step into your own power. And when you step into your own power, nobody can take your power away. Only you can do that. So one more time, put your hands together. Yes, switching the energy on and say yes. Say yes and say, I am power. I am EnergyJoy. I freaking rock. And I can do, be, achieve anything I want. I am power. And maybe you've noticed that the music of the podcast is from the song Becoming Victorious. And my power name is Victory. My move, my EnergyJoy move is also Victory. So that comes from Victorious. So it's all connected through my systems, through my methods. When I work with my students, when I say, okay, just step into that vibe of EnergyJoy, they put up their arms. And they're activating themselves. When they're tired at the end of the day of training, working with energy, I say, okay, shift to that frequency of EnergyJoy, and the arms go up. And that's so amazing to feel, because when you're getting used to this, and I know it's new, but we need at least 21 days to get to know this way of becoming, because it's the new version of you. And I'm really curious, and I even dare you to send me a video of the way you are shifting now and the way you've integrated the tools I gave you in this podcast. So please let me know, because I've been doing it in front of the camera. I'm sharing it in English worldwide, and I don't care what anybody thinks. I know this works for me, and I know I'm serving the world in my best possible way, because it's all connected to who I want to be and how I want to serve. And this for me is the most powerful way to serve you and to connect to you and everybody who wants to listen to this and pick their little nuggets of gold from these podcast series. So thanks so much for listening. I'll put the power words in the show notes as well at www.lisettelucas.com/B52. And you can also download my free Above the Golden Line method hypnotation for free at www.lisettelucas.com/golden line. Well, thanks so much for listening. Oh, I might do a podcast like this more often, because it feels so powerful now. Can you feel the difference? So, because before I started recording this, and the temperature, I'm in Holland now, the temperature outside is, let me see, it's 30 degrees. The room I'm recording this in, it feels like 40 degrees Celsius. So it's really warm here, but because when I stepped into that state, the physiology, the language, and the focus, I don't even feel it anymore. So it works not only with cold water, but it works with high temperatures. So just change your state and you can do anything you want. Thanks so much for listening, and looking forward to connect. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to my High-End and Frequency Business podcast. My name is Lisette Lucas, and if you want to join my EnergyJoy world, please drop me a DM, and really looking forward to connect.